In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make these gorgeous wooden letters with rattan webbing inside of them. What materials you're going to need? Well, in my case, I'm just going to be using plywood, 6mm. And the next material you're going to need is the rattan webbing or the cane webbing, okay? Depending which one you want. And to be absolutely honest, to a non-professional eye, you won't see that much of a difference. Now, these can be very, very expensive. I spent a good few hours online searching for the cheapest alternatives or the cheapest way I can actually purchase those. And I found plastic versions of cane webbing and rattan. Also, there are some bamboo versions of those as well. And this is actually made from plastic, would you believe? And I do have a cane webbing, which is original, and I do also have rattan webbing in my house. And to be absolutely honest, if you didn't know, it's really hard to tell that this is plastic. And the best price I've managed to find was on Temu. So I've asked Temu if they wanted to collaborate with me on some future projects using this type of product. And on top of it, give you something as well. So the bonus I managed to get for you guys, if you download the Temu app through the link that's down below in the description of this video, you can get up to $100 of coupon bundles, or just search the code DUH2852 in the Temu search bar. Okay, so if you're existing or new, you still should be able to get those bundles for your future shopping. Also, I will have some links to the cane webbing and to the rattan webbing down below in the description of this video, and some of them are on very good offers. However, they could be limited, so check them out, and maybe you're going to pick yourself up some fantastic cane webbing or rattan webbing for your future projects. However, let's head over to the project now. The first thing we need to do is to actually design our letters, okay? For me, the font, if you call it like that, will be very basic, very easy to cut out. For example, with a jigsaw, a bandsaw, a scroll saw, anything else you may have in your workshop. I think that's the key. However, if your skills and tools are sufficient enough, you can go for a bit more fancy font. And as you can see, I'm actually drawing the letter itself. I'm designing it from scratch. However, what you can do is just to print a large format letter with your printer and just stick it onto the piece of plywood or any other material you want to use for this project and just go with it like so. For me, I think this is the easiest way and it shouldn't take too long. However, in a few moments, I'm going to show you a different way you can go about this when creating this type of lettering. After that, we'll create another layer from plywood to cover the connection, the bonding of the cane to the base itself. I think it will look really nice and it will give that bit of a depth to the whole project. And there you go, we've got the first letter sorted, letter H, as my daughter's name is Hannah. Now it's time to cut out the shape of the letter. What tool you use really depends on a few things. What tools you have in your workshop, what's the design of your letter, what's the size of your letter, what's the easiest for you to use. So don't limit yourself just to one tool. Use all the arsenal, use all the tools you have in your workshop. So for me, I'm going to be tackling this project with a table saw, bandsaw, scroll saw, or even a jigsaw. And now I can refine the final shape with a bit of sanding. With the shape refined of our lovely H, now it's time to do the top layer, okay? So I'm going to use this as a template, and I'm just going to draw around this. And with that done, we've got our outside template. Hopefully you can see the mark from the pencil. And now what we need to do, I want to have a margin inside about 1.5 centimeter. So that will allow me to create the depth of the whole project and actually hide the places where we're going to attach our rattan webbing or cob webbing to the base itself. However, as I said before, you can just print off the design on a sheet of paper, tape it down to the piece of plywood and just cut it out with the machinery you have in your workshop. And in the end, you should get something like this. And what we are interested in from this is just the middle itself, okay? So again, I'm gonna hop back onto my bandsaw to cut the outer shape. For the next step, you will be using either a jigsaw or a scroll saw or maybe a fret saw. Either way, whichever you're going to use, you need some holes pre-drilling right in the middle so you can put the blade inside. Now for me personally, the scroll saw is the best choice as I can get really accurate and have nice lines, so there won't be much sanding or refining later on. With a jigsaw, well, you're going to have a lot of sanding, however, it would definitely be a lot quicker. And there you go, letter H is more or less sorted. Now back to the sander as we need to refine the shape. And as we've got both of the pieces sorted, the only thing that's missing is the rattan webbing or the cane webbing, depending on what you're gonna go for. However, I want to show you another way of making these, okay? I think it's a little bit quicker, a little bit easier, and you're definitely going to get better results than from hand sanding. So check it out. If you do have a bit of tech in your workshop, for example, a laser. In my case, I'm going to be using a CO2 laser from Hexagonal. However, a 20 to 30 watt diode laser should be okay to do this step as well. Mainly, I'm talking about templates. Now, I'm going to be using 9mm MDF to cut out my template from. Just like that. Now, if you're going to be using a weaker diode laser, like for example the 20 watt or 30 watt, then probably you will have to opt in for something a little bit thinner, like 6mm MDF should be just fine. Now, as I said, I'm actually just going to be making templates. I can then use them to trace around on my plywood the design I want and cut it to rough shape, or for example with a jigsaw, and later on use my router to follow the template and making sure I've got nice and crisp edges and every single design is exactly the same and in the shape I want, as cutting everything by hand could be a little bit tricky, or even using some sort of machinery rack, for example a bandsaw, will not give you absolutely perfect results. This way will. Now, if your laser is actually strong enough, you can do the whole project on the laser itself. Cut everything out with a laser and that's it. Especially if you're not worried about the dark edges around the perimeter of the project itself, or you will be sanding it down later on. However, in this video, I just wanted to show you a few possibilities, few ways you can go around this really simple and cool project. So you can just use normal woodworking tools straight away on the plywood, just put your design there and cut it out. You can create a template with your woodworking tools, or you can create a template with a laser machine. Or if you do have a strong enough machine, you can just use the laser to cut out the whole project from plywood from start to finish. Now, as you can see, we are in the Hexagonal Creative Space. That's the software I'm going to be using with my machine. And that's the size of the letters I've got so far. And it all depends. I've got actually 3 different varieties. However, I've decided that in total, we will have 3 layers. The first one is just the base that we're going to cut out later on from plywood. The second layer is obviously the rattan or the webbing. And the top layer is just to make sure to hide those staples or the glue that will be holding the rattan to our base. And I think it's going to add a nice depth to the whole project. And there you go, 8 minutes, 49 seconds, and the template is done. Middle is out, and that's the outer shell that I'm after. And before this one, I've made the base itself, onto which the other design will go on. And there you go, guys, few minutes, and I've got all the templates I need for this project. So let's carry on. Now with the MDF cutouts, the templates we've got, is ever so easy just to trace them on your piece of material. Again, in my case, it's the 6mm plywood, and later on we'll cut it roughly to size on a bandsaw, for example, or with a jigsaw, and you can use a router to clean out the cut, to clean out the edges using the template. The only thing I need to make sure is that the blade is away from the line. Now to connect the template with our main cutout, I'm just going to use the oldest trick in woodworking's book, i.e. painter's tape and a bit of CA. That should do the trick. And now it's time to head over to the router table. I've installed a straight bit guided by a bearing, so the templates will ride along the bearings and the cutter will flush trim our design. And there you go, we got a perfect letter D, beautiful edging, no issues at all, and very, very quick as well. Now we can detach the template and we're going to clean everything out. We're going to go with a bit of sanding right up to grid 150. So we do have our plywood letters sorted. So you may think to yourself, well, that's it, I can install the webbing. And that's correct. If you want to do that, by all means. The thickness of the webbing itself, in my case, is about 2mm. So what you can do, just have the webbing a little bit deeper, cover it like so, and then, for example, clamp it down. But then, as you can see, it's flexing the piece, okay? And it will be under an angle, and I don't think that will look good. So what you can do is to use a router bit like this one and actually remove some of the material from the inside. In my case, I'm going to go for 3mm depth, and the distance from the tuff to the bearing is about 6 or 7mm, and that will be enough. The size of this is 15mm, so you're going to have plenty of room for glue up, and you will have plenty of room to actually hide the webbing inside of the design. And there we go. Nice clean recess for our webbing. Right, and now we need to attach our webbing to our designs. Now I'm actually going to try to attach it to the top frame where we have the grooves. I think it's just going to be the easiest way, just to marry it up, cut it to a size, and initially I'm just going to hold it with CA glue and a dab of hot glue to make sure it stays in place. However, there's many ways of actually doing this, and I'm not saying my way is the best way. I think it's just going to work the best for me in this particular scenario. However, obviously you can use staples, you can use nails, you can use anything else you've got to your disposal. All right, and with one side attached, we can start trimming the remaining parts so they fit in that channel that we created earlier on with our router. And I will just go around the perimeter of the frame, adding a bit of hot glue from here and there, just to hold the whole thing in place. And there you go. I think it came out really nice. And to be absolutely honest with you, CA glue is just enough. You don't really need a hot glue. Now it's time to glue both of the pieces together. Just go with the glue around the perimeter where the webbing is as well, so it will hold the frame and the webbing as well. Don't put too much glue. You don't want to have a massive squeeze out on this. as it would be fairly difficult to clean out, and just clamp everything down and leave it for a few hours for the glue to set. And the final thing left to do is to give it a bit of protection. I'm going to be using spray varnish in satin, and I'm going to give it 2 coats with denibbing in between coats. And there you go, guys. I think they came out absolutely stunning. They look great. To be fair, better than I expected. Absolutely brilliant. Now, just a reminder, don't forget you do have the chance to get that $100 worth of coupon bundle for shopping at Temu. The link to the application is down below in the description of this video. However, if you already do have the app and you are an existing customer to Temu, then just search in the search engine and the code DUH2852 and you should be able to get that coupon bundle as well. So, hey, bit of funds for your shopping, maybe for the webbing for your project. But I have to say, they came out absolutely fantastic, perfect, and I'm hoping my kids will love them as well. Now, for example, you can make a bit of a business out of it, as people are looking for interesting and nice things to decorate their houses, and I think this is absolutely fantastic. So having templates to badge them out easily and quickly as the orders come in, I think that's very beneficial. And you don't need a laser to create the templates. You basically take the long route of doing it by hand, refining the shape of the template, and then just using the template to copy the design. So I hope today's video was interesting, maybe inspiring as well. So if you did like it, drop me that like button down below. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And I just want to say a massive thank you to my Patreons that are supporting my channel. However, for today, that's it. But before you go, I do have 2 really cool playlists over here. Check them out and maybe you'll find your next video to watch. But that's it from me. Take care.